bill every single month. So I wasn't just buying like Beats by Dre or dumb
But where
shit.
did it go wrong? Because, I mean, with respect, you're on the other side now.
So what's going on, y'all? It's your boy Twine here, back with another video today. Today we're going to be doing something a little bit different, something out of my ordinary. Today we're going to be reacting to a video called Rich Man versus Poor Man. So basically, I saw this video pop up on my feed because I watch Jubilee. It's one of those Jubilee videos, and I saw this video pop up on my feed, and I just wanted to check it out. We're going to be doing three or four props, I think, that I'm going to be reacting to. One of the props is rich people should be taxed more. Men should be the breadwinner of the family. Becoming rich is easier now than it's ever been. It's easier to make money if you're a white man. So those are going to be the three prompts that we're going to be doing today. Feel free to like, subscribe, do anything. These are like some type of videos that I always want to make low key though. Like I always want to get my opinion on like what's going on in the world and stuff like that. Something a little bit educational, not really too educational, because at the end of the day, it's just all thoughts and opinions at the end of the day. But yeah, it's all thoughts and opinions at the end of the day. And I'm just really trying to get my opinion on something that's like out of the gaming aspect and everything like that, because I am getting older as a fact. So we're gonna be giving our opinion on this new Jubilee video that came out, I think, what, 7 days ago? Yeah, 7 days ago, and I haven't watched it yet. So we're gonna see what's going on with it. Make sure you guys drop a thumbs up.
Step forward if you've made less than 1K in 2024.
Oh, that's actually crazy.
Less than 10K in 2024.
Damn, what the hell?
Less than 40K in 2024.
That's okay. That's
less than 60K in 2024.
like I would have stepped forward right there.
Less than 300K in 2024. Less than 600K in 2024.
Okay, 600K. Wait, do we count 600K as rich? Is 600K rich, or is there like, well, I feel like 600K, less than 600K is not rich. I feel like that's wealthy, in my opinion. When you're rich, I guess you can be as a millionaire or anything like that, but I don't know about rich. But you do make way more than the average American, so.
Less than 9 million in 2024.
Less than 10.
Is that even that? We're clapping for the rich guy?
Rich people should be taxed more.
I see, look, when it comes to prompts like this, it's a little confusing at the same time, because like just because you make more money than the average, you should give more money back to the government or be taxed more. It's a little, no, it's a little wishy-washy with me, because like at the end of the day, where is the taxes going? Because if I was a millionaire and I was making like fucking $1 million a year or $1 million every 5 months, you know, like where is the money that I'm giving back? Where is it going? If it's going to other countries, like fucking war, I don't think I would like my money to be going towards the government. Like if it's actually like being used to actually help institutions like schools, homeless people, anything of that sort, then maybe, yeah, I'll understand that. But at the same time, I don't think just because you make more money than people, you should be taxed more. But that's the reality of America. Like if you make more money, you do get taxed more, sadly. But I don't know. I'm a little wishy-washy on this prompt. I don't know if I would have stepped forward or not, honestly. So we're just gonna see where it goes.
I remember back when, you know, America was first starting and the taxes were looked at as a privilege. Like it was something that people looked forward to. People, you know, use it as a badge of honor that they had made it to a point where they could use their success to benefit the rest of society. It was something that they used as like a stamp of, I've made it, I've done my part, I've become so successful that now I can give back at such an extraordinary level. Now this is also dependent on taxes being used, you know, in the correct way to like actually benefit society and not, you know, go to corrupt politicians. But overall, like, especially as someone who's considered like upper middle class, rich, someone who's considered wealthy, I have no problem and think that I should be taxed higher. I purposely don't take advantage of tax loopholes that I could, even though it'd be very easy to, because I would rather that money, instead of it, being saved and going directly to myself, I'd rather go to fund school systems and, other institutions that can't get funding other ways.
Exactly. Government is, captured by special interest lobby groups that lobby on behalf of their constituents, corporations, and they write the tax code. And the tax code is written in a way that benefits corporations, and it disadvantages working class people. And the very fact that you can tax an income, for instance, and not tax what they call unrealized gains is a great injustice in our society.
But then you can take a loan against it and then profit from the loan later.
So don't know that I'm on board with the taxing unrealized gains, but the big thing that had me walking out here is you constantly see that like billionaires, millionaires, et cetera, they pay a lower marginal tax rate than like teachers and stuff. And that is like the biggest thing to me that like never quite made sense. Like if we're all kind of in this system together, why are we not at least all paying the same percentage of our?
Because we're not in this system together. It's two-tiered. There's a separate rules for the rich as there are for the poor, and the rich play by a different game.
Okay, let's invite the disagreeers.
That's okay.
The reason why I didn't step forward, which was, should rich people pay more taxes? If I could know with certainty that my taxes, paying more of them, would go to benefit schools or homeless veterans or, struggling single moms or, whatever the causes are, I'd be glad to. My concern is that once that money's gone, it can go off to fund war crimes in other countries and bomb villages to take their oil and all this other bullshit.
And that's what I was just talking about. That's literally what I just said. That's the whole point of knowing where the money goes, because even as an average American, the tax money that we're getting is going off to wars. Literally what they're taking our money for at the end of the day. So I feel his point of view on this. I personally wouldn't have stepped forward myself, but that's literally what I just said. Like, honestly, like.
And when I keep more of my money, like there's a school maybe like 12 minutes from my house where I paid all the lunch debt for that school, and that was fine for me to do, but had I not had that money to pay that lunch debt because it went to the government, I don't know if that would go to that school or if it's going to go bomb some country, right? So that is my sort of this is the implication where I don't trust the U.S. government to use the money in the same benevolent way that I might if I had more of it to then do what the programs and the passions that I have to help people.
And the reason that we don't trust the U.S. government, because I don't trust it either, is because of who controls the government. And who controls the government are capitalists. So it goes back to capitalism. It would be great for our money to be used to fund schools and all these programs, wonderful. But they're not. You're right. They're going to the weapons industry instead.
Right. Yeah. I think another thing, like a misconception a lot of people have, is like the rich don't pay taxes at all. If you look at corporate,
well, even though they got a fact check on though, there are some rich that don't pay taxes at all. Look at Donald Trump, for instance. He literally blatantly states and gloats that he doesn't pay taxes. That's just one example though. But no, honestly, most of the rich actually don't pay taxes. If I'm going to be honest with you.
Payroll tax, that's like the taxes that we pay. By far in America, corporations pay the most taxes in payroll. That is for example, but it is coming from other people's checks, but we factor that into their salary, right? We know that.
That's another thing I was just gonna say. That's literally coming from people's checks, but I get what he's trying to say though.
We're gonna have to pay taxes on that. That's one thing to think about. I do think that the system is set up for the rich just to make way more money, especially with the unrealized gains, leveraging that.
We like to say we want everyone to pay the same percent, same stuff like that. But it's not like rich people, massive business owners use less government services. They are using these roads way more. They are using all these things so much more than the average person who just needs to drive to work. If you need 1 million trucks going places, it wouldn't be unfair for these people to pay more because they use more, because they're bigger entities.
Right thing.
Okay, so the money that the government doesn't receive by taxing billionaires and multinational corporations, they have to come up with the money still. So what do? They borrow it. They borrow it from corporations when they could have just taxed them. And when you borrow from billionaires and these large corporations, you then have to pay them interest. The government has to pay all this interest on the money that they should have just taxed them in the first place. So that's why you have 30 trillion. I mean, the national debt is a scam in and of itself. The fact that people bring that up as a talking point is ludicrous.
Hey, before we go any further, we want to take a moment.
Ridiculous to think that the national debt is actually a real thing. There's no fucking such thing as a national debt. I don't give a fuck who you are. You telling me the government is in debt? They can literally fucking print money. They're literally printing money to this day.
Men should be the breadwinner of the family. Can the agreeers please step forward?
Now, this is like a, what do I say? Now, this prompt is like a very it's not really a confusing prompt at the end of the day. In my opinion, yes, men should be the breadwinner of the family. Now, hold on. Don't come for my throat or anything like that. But personally, especially, it really depends on how you were raised at the end of the day. I live with my significant other. I make more money, obviously. But that doesn't say that she's not actually paying rent or paying for things that like household supplies, stuff like that. Yeah, we all pitch in. But at the end of the day, you must not think as a man, especially a young man, we have goals and aspirations. We all want to be able to make money and take care of the whole household. You know what I'm saying? Especially whenever kids come around. Men typically feel the natural urge to just be able to provide. That's just my opinion. Actually, that's not even an opinion. That's a fact. Because if that's not a fact, then society wouldn't be the way, it's formed. We do all shit, man. That's manly. You feel me? Like, we're just men. That's all we do. Women are better at nurturing. That's just a fact. They are. It's not that it's just some societal bullshit that we all just came up to play. That's just the natural order. Men protect, provide, women nurture. That's just my opinion. Now, at a point in time, I would love to be able to make all the money and just my girl don't have to do nothing. My family don't have to do nothing. They just chilling. They good. They all gotta do is just worry about what's going on in their life. Why would you not want to be the breadwinner? As a man, I feel as though that you're supposed to be the breadwinner of the family. But in this day and age, there's a lot of, women can make their own money. Yes, no one's not saying that at all. Women can actually make more money than my girl. Fucking around can make more money than me. You get what I'm saying? And I feel as though that you should do whatever works for you, in my opinion. But like, as of right now, I would step forward. That's just my opinion. We just have the natural urge to be able to, like, you know what I'm saying, I want to protect, especially how you were raised. It depends on how you were raised at the end of the day as well. So I definitely would have stepped forward. Only one guy. Wow.
I grew up in a pretty traditional Muslim household, and it's like very common for like the man to kind of be the breadwinner, and like that's the tradition I grew up. So I have very strong beliefs in that. I do think that there are abstractions, like there are times where women are the breadwinners and vice versa, but I don't think that it should, like for me, like the way that I've grown up, the way that my family's grown up for many years, many generations, it's been a tradition that like the man is very responsible for taking care of his family and the financials of kind of this unit. And I don't plan on changing that, so it's something I just believe in. But that doesn't mean there's room for abstraction. People can switch it up, but yeah, that's what I believe.
Can the disagreeers please step forward?
And I guarantee most of the rich guys are the breadwinners, and even probably some of the poor guys. I'm not, even if they're like, if that's assuming they're in relationships.
The reason why I disagreed is because I think you should just do whatever works for your relationship. Okay. In my relationship personally, yes, I'm the one who does the providing and the protecting, and that works great for us. Exactly. But that doesn't mean it works well for everybody else. And I mean, if you're dating a boss lady who works in tech and she makes like 500 grand a year, like you don't need to stretch yourself out if you're like, you work in a factory making 36K. So
in my opinion, bro, let's be fucking for real. And I'm just talking like from a realistic standpoint. No woman that's in like tech, or even if they're making 500 grand a month, no woman is dating down. That's just a fact. Women do not date down. Men date down. Men typically do not care about how much a woman makes financially. We don't care. We don't care because like we want to be able to protect. No woman is going to want to be able to provide for a man. Let's be honest. That's just the natural order. And I'm not saying that's not. There's always going to be an exception. I understand that for a fact. But at the end of the day, no, that's not realistic. But if it works for you, it works for you. That's just That's just the opinion that we have nowadays.
Agree with you 100%. I think you should do whatever works best for y'all relationship. But I notice now in modern dating, a lot of women have this expectation on, oh, the man should be doing this, and that. True. And I don't necessarily like that because these expectations put you in a weird position, especially if you feel like you're not really receiving much in return.
To be honest, though, that is facts, though. I understand that, like, especially in modern day, like, depends on, like, you know how, like, the modern day costs us, everything costs way more money than it used to cost 15 years ago. Even actually fucking 7 years ago. Like, things cost way much more money than it used to cost 5, 6, 7 years ago, honestly, and that's all true. But yes, he said it's actually a fact, though. Most women actually expect a lot. That their expectations are fucking through the roof, and they have nothing to offer in return. But in a realistic standpoint, though, what are women actually supposed to offer you as a man? Is that, especially if you're put together, what are they supposed to offer? Like, not too much, to be honest. Really just be pretty and take care of my house and my kids. If I'm being honest, though, like, then we just take care of you. But yes, though, actually, though, like, you should be able to want to, like, learn from, like, if you can't teach me nothing, like, you can't teach me nothing new, show me nothing new, then yeah, like, I get his standpoint on that a little bit, though. But it's just like, what much can the girl offer, though, other than you just love her? You feel what I'm saying, though? Like, this love shit, especially in modern day, it's like non-existent now. Like, it's just transactional nowadays, and that's what I don't really like, because I'm old school. Even though I'm young, I'm old school. I'm chivalrous as hell, like, in my opinion. But I get it.
In my current relationship, I was so upfront with my partner. I said, I'm gonna be a teacher. I'm not gonna be able to be the sole provider. I wanna be a high school teacher, maybe a college teacher. That's my passion. That's what
Wait, he's a teacher. Is he a teacher, or does he want to be a teacher? Because if you're a teacher and you made under 10K, he made under 10K last year, 2024. I think that's what it said. If you're a teacher and you made under 10K, that is fucking ludicrous. But I'm gonna assume he's not a teacher, because I know teachers make more than 10K a year. I know that for a fact they do. But I'm gonna just let it slide.
What I want to do, that's how I want to give back to the world. And she said, I love that about you. That's one of my favorite things about you. And we're going to make that work. I'm going to work. She's going to work. And we got to get through it somehow. It's really hard to survive in this capitalist society right now with having just one provider. I mean, I think everyone on this side of the room probably can if you're the rich man. But a lot of us, we need two incomes. It's just not possible for the man to be.
And no one's doubting that. Like, at the end of the day, no one's doubting that. That is fucking true. Like, I completely understand that most people cannot survive off this day and age of society, bro. Like, especially when it comes to having like one job. I have 2 jobs. I need 2 jobs to be able to survive. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's a fact, though, and I understand that. So we have 3 incomes. We have 3 incomes to make sure we're good. And what he said is actually facts, though. Like, you're like the society now, how much fucking money food costs, eggs, how much money everything costs nowadays, bro. It is actually insane, especially how it used to be fucking 10, 15 years ago, bro. Like, this is crazy. He's not lying, though, and I understand that.
The sole provider, breadwinner.
The reason that I put the expectation on myself is because, like, I also expect other expectations of my wife, right? Like, I'm not going to marry a woman that's not going to be able to take care of my children, right? Like, I think that's one expectation that I have. And once again, this is not an arbitrary thing where it's like, it has to be this way or that way. It's just what I believe.
I think we all have our expectations in relationships, and as long as we communicate those with a partner and are super upfront with that, there's no problem.
I only disagree with the characterization of the premise that men should be the breadwinner, as if we should be conforming to traditional gender roles in this society.
What do you mean by
I think
that?
there's a term that.
What do you mean by that? I mean, in my opinion, bro, like, it depends. Like I said, it depends on how you were raised, bro. I think so. I honestly think so. Like, I understand everything's new, like this new shit, this new agenda that's being pushed nowadays, bro. From like what, 5 years ago, since 2015, I think that new agenda that's been pushed, bro. Man, I'm just gonna keep my mouth shut.
That I learned maybe last year is financial compatibility. And I think that's one thing that is really important in a relationship, because if you're, making a lot of money and your partner isn't really, but I personally think that a relationship, both people should work, both people should be, just contributing.
believe
But
that.
if someone's making a lot more than the other one, then it will always feel just incompatible, because it'll always cause the other person to feel, oh, like I'm paying more, I'm contributing more, I'm working more.
I was gonna say, I think there's a bit of nuance there. I'm in a polyamorous relationship where I make significantly more than my partners. One of them is an RBT, so they work, minimum wage, working for schools, working grueling hours with kids with disabilities, and so it's a very hard life for them. And we've been together for over 3 years now. And there's never been a sense of me putting myself and my income above them, or using that as hey, I'm going to lead the household and I'm going to make the decisions on my own because I'm the primary one bringing in the significant, revenue into the household. It definitely comes down to the relationship itself, because they knew me when I was working for minimum wage jobs. And so because of that, just because I'm in a place now, tomorrow I could have nothing. I know that the love would still be there and a relationship would still be strong. So while there can be definitely situations where an income, inequality would impact a relationship, I think it speaks more so to the depth and the strength of the relationship itself, rather than the inequality being the main driver for any sort of issues in that relationship.
Have you never felt that it's just kind of unfair that you're putting so much in and the other, I'm just generally.
Yeah, no, not at all. Because I've been in relationships where I was the one who was working at Chick-fil-A making $9.25 an hour, and I was my girlfriend had a $60,000 job in DC, and I was like, oh my God, thank you so much for taking me out to dinner or something. And so that mentality of, that reciprocity of if I'm going to be there for you emotionally, you're helping me with my finances, we're in this together as a partnership. That's what's really carried those relationships through. And I've never, again, I know that everything could disappear tomorrow. So there's no feeling of, well, I'm doing all this, why are you not putting in as much effort? They're working super hard. And so just because they didn't have the same connections or opportunities that I had means nothing to the fact that they're worth less or something to me.
To piggyback off that too, for me in my relationships, I've always made more, and it didn't really tend to bother me. I think people are driven by passion, and not all careers pay the same. But if the person I'm with is really passionate about what they're doing, I admire that.
That speaks a lot to me, because ever since I was a kid, I always wanted to be so rich and successful to where my wife didn't have to work if she didn't want to. My kids could do whatever the hell they wanted to do. And so I kind of did that with my ex when I was thriving. We didn't have kids. I got an episode for that, jubilee. You know what I mean, right? But not, we didn't have kids, but it was just the fact that my ex didn't have to work, and I helped put her in that position. So that made me feel good. I think a lot of people in relationships, there's an ego thing with it. So if the man ain't making enough money, he feels less than a man, and then he treats his girl a different way, and then that creates problems. Or his girl don't respect him or treats him a different way, and then that creates problems. I think as long as
Boy, don't get me started on that shit. The respect shit, bro. And that goes back to what I just said. The women typically do not date down. So if you're making less than her, she's not gonna respect you as a man. In my opinion, and this is how I look at it, there's different ways you can look at men. There's men and there's real men. Your woman will not respect you as a real man if you're not making more than her nowadays. And I'm not saying there's no exception to that. I understand that. Like the gentleman just said, his girlfriend was making $60,000, I think, and he was making he was working at Chick-fil-A. I don't know how much money he was making, but he was working at Chick-fil-A. There are exceptions to rules, and I understand that, but typically most women are not going to respect a real man. They're not going to see you as a real man if you're making less than him, and it creates arguments. So that's true what he just said, though.
You're doing what works for your relationship, old boy said right here, right? I think that's what matters most.
It's a cultural issue.
It's also an antiquated approach, right? What is the term, trad wife or something?
Traditional.
Yeah,
traditional.
Yeah.
Which I don't even care for. I don't, I've been in 5 different committed relationships, but my whole thing is, I don't expect my girl to cook for me. I don't expect her to clean for me. I don't expect you to do nothing for me except be yourself. And as long as we good, we good.
Fuck nah. Hell nah. See, that's that, I ain't gonna lie, bro. That's that new agenda shit, bro. Boy, what if you bringing in, and I know he's not, if you bringing in all the bread and you ain't cooking or nothing for it, damn, what are you here for? Just a fucking, you feel what I'm saying? What creates a relationship? Not just two motherfuckers that want to have sex with each other, bro. What creates the actual connection, the relationship? What are you doing for me? What am I doing for you? What he just said was actually probably one of the worst things I've heard in my life. I get that some women can't cook, some women can't clean, some men can cook for the women. I get that, bro. But generally, and I'm talking about from a general standpoint, generally, men expect a woman to cook and clean, especially cook. I guess some girls nowadays don't like cleaning. My girl like cleaning. My girl probably don't like cooking as much, but she cook her and that. She'll cook. She don't have a problem with it. She just mad she gotta work. So she'll cook. But what he just said was ridiculous. I don't agree with that.
No, I think what you're touching on is that, and what you've touched on as well, is there's all these different ways that relationships can work. And I think they can work in every way. I want a different relationship than what you want, but both can absolutely work. And there are pitfalls for both too. And you just have to avoid those pitfalls, of course, yeah.
You know, I'm married, I have 2 kids, and I would say have more of a traditional relationship, and I love it, and it's wonderful, and I wouldn't trade it for anything. But I know that what works for me doesn't necessarily work for everybody in this room.
I don't know about you guys too, but like, so in relationships I've been in, I have made more than my partner, but if they did make more than me, I would be stoked.
Yeah.
That's
I would love to say
incredible.
that.
Right, like who would get mad about that?
I will
That
put
is
on the
insane.
maid dress and I will mop the floor.
Yeah, dude, yeah.
I'll be the coolest house husband ever.
Yeah, it is an ego thing.
Walk him home with
Nah, I get what they're saying though. Like, I ain't gonna lie. If my gal, if it came to that, and I didn't get the backlash, or men didn't get the backlash, I ain't gonna lie. I'll be the kids in that bit. Man, you need some. But that shit don't exist, bro. Like, let's be real. Like, nowadays, that shit do not exist. It doesn't exist. I don't know about that.
a little glass of wine. I'll be saying like,
love
can I
all
get
that.
you anything, honey? Like, would you like me to take your shoes off, give you a little massage, whatever you need?
I kind of love spoiling my wife and my kids. I mean,
he ain't say shit for real. Like,
partly because I grew up, I mean, my mom was making $10 an hour raising 3 kids. So the fact that now I'm in a position where I can, you know, spoil the people that I'm with,
don't get
I
me
kind of
started
love
on
doing
Mama
that.
Gay.
I know I'm not going to be able to spoil her with like 1,000,000 diamond rings and stuff like that, but I can spoil her in other ways. I can make dinner for us. I can plan things for us.
There's balance,
Little things
so
that
someone
count,
could be
sure.
supporting financially, but someone else is supporting emotionally. And I think as long as you're aware of that balance, that could be like a secret to a healthy relationship. But if that balance kind of fades out in the dark, then that's when, you know.
Becoming rich is
yeah, that was an interesting prop for sure.
easier now than it ever has been.
Ooh, fuck yeah. What the fuck? And this is just like, not even a fuck. This is a literally no-brainer. Becoming rich is way easier now than it's ever been, especially due to social media. And that's literally all that you really got to say about it. There are motherfuckers, and I'm not talking bad about women, OnlyFans, streaming, YouTube. You can literally become rich off fucking anything nowadays. You can do literally anything to get rich, bro. Like, there are people getting rich sitting home and talking to a fucking camera like I'm doing. You can literally get rich off anything, and that's no doubt about it. Like, you don't have to do anything nowadays to get rich. I'm talking about rich. I'm not talking about be financially stable. We're talking about getting rich. Nigga, have you heard Constant? That boy don't do nothing. I mean, I get it. He invite people over, and I understand it comes like a lot of stress when it comes to doing things nowadays to get rich, bro. But you don't typically have to do anything to get rich nowadays. Like, you can literally just sit at home and get rich and talk to a camera.
Pretty much at the poverty line. So the opportunities that my mom had were so limited to compared to what the opportunities that I have today. And, you know, I was able to, I mean, frankly, make millions and millions of dollars in my 20s because of all the opportunities that we have here in the West and in the in America, and especially in modern times, where if you just zoom out, a lot of those opportunities weren't available. You know, even just like 50 years ago, it would be different.
Yeah, to piggyback off that, I think not only is there opportunity, but the internet has just enabled us to learn anything we want.
I think the fact that you can just be making money off of your laptop just anywhere in the world is revolutionary.
I think there's been a bit of an explosion of non-ethical ways to make money. I feel like that's been a big thing in recent times. Making money off the backs of others has become easier than it ever has been, I think. Like, you can just start a podcast and just like on women the whole time, and you'll just like blow up and go crazy. I think like in late stage capitalism, there are so many exploits and things you can do, and I'm not saying you guys have done that specifically. I don't know your stories, but like, you can be a landlord and just start charging exorbitant amounts of rent. That's why it's so unaffordable to live, especially here in California. Like, there are so many evil ways that people can make money that I think it's easier now than it ever has been if you have sort of sketchy morals.
Is a landlord always an evil way to make money too?
Honestly, not always, but I would love to see society move away from this, from housing being a form of investment?
So I am a real estate developer,
Yeah.
and I just bought a piece of land to build a house. The piece of land just for the dirt, $735,000. Just the permitting, just like literally the fee that I had to pay to get the right to build on that property that I own, 110 grand. It's challenging to offer affordable housing when you're already $800,000 deep and you haven't even put shovel to dirt.
I don't put as much blame on the individual as I do on the systems. I really wish.
I would love to back you up on that. So I actually have a pretty strong thesis on this. So like I bought property and stuff before, and I've realized like the system just favors the rich. And the reason for that is because of interest. Like from this, once again, I tie this back to religion often, but like in Islam, it's like you're not allowed to mess with interest. And the reason for that is because it favors the rich in a way where it pulls away from economic gain from society. And it's like, hey, because I have $100,000, I can pull $1 million of leverage. Well, if you only have 10,000, you can only pull 100,000. And now what's happening today is like these companies like BlackRock and these big institutional holdings, because they already have trillions of dollars, can leverage trillions of more to buy more houses, rising the prices, rising the interest rates for everyone, and you guys suffer the most.
When people learn like to utilize credit in America, I don't know if they even have credit in other countries or if it's similar to America.
They do, but America is by far the biggest credit lender in the world.
So that, right? Back in 2019, like nobody ever taught me like how to go about building credit properly, right? But in 2019, I had friends that was doing drop shipping automation, like Amazon automation, right? So I had a friend, they was all running stores. So she was charging $8,000 to get into this thing, but I didn't have $8,000 at the time. So I started researching credit. I asked questions from all my little rich friends on Facebook. I went on YouTube. So I did research. I went a different route. I got 3 unsecured credit cards for $1,500. I learned about authorized users. But then I think it was within 3 or 6 months, I was able to get $32,000. And then like a year and a half later, I got over 100 grand. That was from having 0 credit. So the thing is, if people actually research credit and learn how to build it properly, it's easy to get money. And the cool thing about credit is, if you invest and you fuck up, you could just let it go to collections and dispute it all out anyway.
Yeah, but you shouldn't think like that.
No, hold on. Let me finish. Let me finish.
There's someone that suffers at the end of that system. So.
I understand. Yeah. What I'm saying is though, right? Go about it the right way. Be responsible. Pay your credit, because don't fuck up intentionally. But what I'm saying is, it's easy to get the money to invest if you know what you're doing.
Yeah.
But the thing is, if you don't,
it's so sorry. Just to cut you. It's so easy to get the money that people will dig themselves in the hole because they see money.
Well, I agree with you.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying, there's a difference between good debt and bad debt.
Of course.
So I was using my debt for investments. I wasn't just buying like
credit cards though.
I was using the credit cards and then loans.
See, dude, that's
rough,
like
dude.
I agree with
20%
you.
interest.
I agree. But
what are you investing in that makes sense?
Well, that's the thing. So I was okay. So like for example, I done like Amazon drop shipping, right? I was making money on cashback. Yeah. So the thing was, I was making money and I was paying my bill every single month. So I wasn't just buying like Beats by Dre.
But where did it go wrong? Because I mean, with respect, you're on the other side now.
It wasn't like up with my debt. I was paying my bill every single month. I've been day trading since 2014. I wasn't like broke. Even like last year, I had my biggest trading day. I made $161,000 in 3 hours. But the thing was, I was making money at.
So what the fuck went wrong? Like, seriously, what the fuck did you do? I'm gonna hear him out.
Passive income.
Got True Religion jacket on and shit. Like,
and
what the fuck
I trusted some of my rich friends, right, into a bad investment that they ended up rug pulling everybody. And I currently have a lawsuit trying to get my money back.
Got scammed, dude.
So that's why I ended up over here. I always wanted to be on that rich side for this episode. You know what I mean, right?
I feel like your story kind of epitomizes like my worldview on this question, is that it's easier to make money now because there's so many ways of passive income. And that's kind of what I don't like about it, is passive income doesn't really benefit society. You're making money off the work of others instead of off your own work. So you're not really helping anyone except yourself.
That'd be interesting.
We're talking about a societal trend, and you can't disprove that thesis or that premise by citing your own personal story. You have to look at actual data. And when you say
there's literally multiple examples of data. Like the internet alone is already enough to debunk the fucking prompt.
It's easier to get rich now than it ever has been. Who's getting rich? And if you look at the data, it's the top 1% of the population. And I just thought of some statistics which would help my point, which is to say that, you know, the largest increase in the poverty rate from one year to the next happened in 2021 to 2022. The majority of Americans live paycheck to paycheck. It's a very precarious life for most of us. And
that's not the problem. I get what he's trying to say, but that's literally, I mean, it relates to the prompt, yes, but it's not the prompt.
We live in a world where 3 Americans own more wealth than 150 million other Americans, the bottom half of the American population. Prove the entire thesis of this.
When I hear that question, right, the hardest thing I have for me is, I understand not everybody can get rich, but I truly do believe in America, everybody has the opportunity to be rich. Now, you may have come from a different background where it's harder to come up, you know what I mean?
Well, but of the 2 people in question, you have had a harder time, no doubt.
Wait, because of my past though, why not, right?
And it's because of your race, it's because of the color of your skin. That is because race is
A little gray on this race thing when it comes to like being able to become rich, and like, I get it. Some people do come from harder backgrounds, whereas though it's harder to actually get out of poverty and make it to middle class. But at the same time, everybody still has the same type of chances in America, especially in 2025. Let's be fucking honest though. But to be fair, he's not entirely wrong. But at the same time, I feel as though that I'm a little bit gray on that one, honestly. I don't know.
Racism is a systemic problem in America.
I don't see my skin color as a problem, because at the end of the day, though, I still educated myself, I applied myself, and yes, I came up before I got scammed last year, you know what I mean? So as a black person who's at a disadvantage, and let's just say that it really is a disadvantage, that never held me back from doing all the shit
I'm
that I
not
wanted
saying
to
that
do.
you don't have your own personal, you know, optimism for, you know, bootstrapping yourself. I'm saying you're facing institutions that are designed to undermine your livelihood, and that is because of the color of your skin.
I would have to
and I
disagree about
acknowledge
today. I would say
I'll say yeah, but it's black and white when it comes to this.
historically in America, certainly. I would say in 2024, 2025, whenever this is coming out. I mean, again, we're all here. We're talking.
Yeah.
I've been able to make $2 million a year since I was like 28. Mm-hmm. There's really nothing special about me. I can spot opportunity, and I think that if what you're saying is true, and I was subject to all, like I've never felt that the color of my skin is a
millions of
barrier.
other people that do
Well,
not
I'm sure.
share that.
I'm
personal
sure, but
anecdote, you know
what
and that's the point of the thesis.
But
That's the point of the
it's
premise.
all about belief at the end of the day. Go
And
ahead.
also,
Omar.
I don't think
remember
so. I think
the
it's the
prompt
material
was, it's
conditions.
easier today to get rich than it ever has been. There was a point where someone who looked like me wasn't even allowed to buy a house. That's not true today. So for me, getting out of that circumstances, building wealth, same thing, even women weren't allowed to have a bank account in their own name till like the 70s in some states. That now they can, right? And I think it's easier today.
It's easier to make money if you're a white man.
Now, in my opinion, yes. You gotta understand, white people typically they're benefiting from generational wealth. Now understand that. Now in this day and age, it's all free game. It's all fair game. I get that. But as history shows and grown and shown, yes, racism still exists to this day, and I'm not down that for a fact. I know it does. You have to understand, segregation wasn't. There are people that are alive still from when segregation was still a thing. Segregation was 60 years ago, 60 years ago, less than 60 years ago. There are people that are alive to this day that can tell you about how bad it was, even the years after segregation, because it was still bad a couple years after segregation even ended. So, in my opinion, yes, it is easier to make more money as a white man. I understand that, or that's fair game, that just because my skin color is not holding me back to go do the same things that other people are, doing, and I understand that. But typically, on a general standpoint, yes.
We're making a broad statement. Obviously, it's not. There are people that aren't white that make a lot of money, but I think statistically, generally speaking, it is easier to make money if you are white. It's easier to be advantaged by these institutions that govern public life if you are a white person, specifically a white male. This country was founded upon slavery and the genocide of the Native Americans, the slavery of African Americans. And
It was built, actually.
that was by white
I
people.
won't say founded.
I think when you look at the statistics, you see certain demographics succeeding more than other demographics. And you can either look at that and say, oh, there's something inherent about those groups, which is just racism, or you can look at that and say, there must be some societal factors that lead other groups to excelling more than others.
And another point is there have been studies made on, the eligibility of people to acquire a bank loan, for instance. And statistically speaking, it's far easier to acquire a bank loan if you're a white person than a black person. And that's just one of the examples.
I'm gonna join you guys after. That's okay.
For sure. Is that I think on the left, the left of politics, sometimes it comes across very defeatist when we talk about this, and I never want to be like that. I don't want to say a person of color can't do this, can't do that, because that's also literally just racism, and people on the left do that a lot, sadly.
But the prompt
you can succeed, but it might be a little harder, and that difficulty can appear in a myriad of different ways. And I just think statistics show certain groups are more successful.
I think one thing too I wanted to add that brought me out here, I don't know that it's tremendously more difficult, but it's definitely more difficult, and I think stats show that. And a big thing to me is so much of personal wealth is your home, and there's a huge racial net worth gap, and a lot of that is because of access to property ownership. And that's a big thing that I think, stored capital creates more capital.
Right. So, I mean, we come from a society that, segregation was legal 50, 60 years ago. I mean, that's, just a few generations ago. We're still feeling those reverberations, and, white people.
And some people don't believe in generational trauma. Generational trauma is actually fucking real, if I'm being honest. It definitely is. Most people still are recovering from segregation 50, 60 years ago. I think it was 60 years ago, if I'm not mistaken, 1964. I think it was 64. I'm not sure. But yes, generational trauma still exists throughout the world, even generational racism. You have kids that are fucking 10 years old calling people the N-word. How? Who knows?
People want to protect their property, their wealth. Wasn't there the whole thing of white flight, in the 60s, or, as soon as society was desegregated, white people basically said, we're going to take all our capital and move out to the suburbs, and we're going to defund public institutions. We don't have any responsibility to them. And, I just think it's pretty fairly evident at this point that, systemic racism is an issue, and, to acquire wealth, it's far easier if you look the part.
Do you think that will change as time goes on, though? Because I think we are for sure trending the right direction, and that's why I hesitated to come out here. But then bringing up the points of historical wealth and then wealth building off of historical wealth.
Yeah, I think it's headed in the right direction for sure. I mean,
I don't think it's a huge
I think anyone. I believe anyone can absolutely succeed in America. Some people will have a harder path than others, but I believe anyone can. Sadly, I don't think everyone can. I feel like that is contradicted by capitalism, but I do think anyone can succeed despite their circumstances.
I agree.
Maybe back in the day, I don't really believe it, and I guess it goes up based off of personal experience. One thing that I personally hate is this whole victim mindset that a lot of folks in our community especially have. I hate that.
That's another thing, though. People tend to use that as an excuse to not get off their ass and go do something. He's not lying, and I'm pretty sure I'm already going to know what he's going to say, though. But most people of color typically use that as an excuse to be able to not be successful and not do what they want to do. They're typically the ones that aren't even doing anything. We have people in our communities just sitting on the corner doing bullshit every single day, not wanting to get out their ass to go actually be something and go be successful. But typically, most people do use this prop as a fucking get out of jail free card. Oh man, I can't do it, I'm black. That's just bullshit.
Passion, because as a black dude, how I talk, how I present myself, some people in the comments gonna talk shit. I already know. You know what I mean, right? But my whole thing is, I've had so many jobs, and we were speaking about unemployable and whatnot, right? But if you looked at my resume, it's crazy. Like I've been a flight attendant, I've been a truck driver, I've been a perfume salesman, I've been a street performer on the Las Vegas Strip. I used to work background in porn. As a black dude who's done a whole bunch of shit, it's hard for me to think that I'm at a disadvantage when I've done more shit than the average person has.
I agree with you that everyone should have the mindset that they can succeed. I think that's something on the left that we don't communicate enough, is absolutely have the mindset that you can succeed, but that doesn't mean that these systems aren't in place.
And let's say the systems are in place, though, right? Because it was worse back in the day, but let's just say the systems currently are in place. I just think it's a belief factor. Like if you believe like, oh, I'm black, I can't do shit, you ain't gonna try.
The statistics tend to demotivate people, and then that causes lack of action. And it's like
lack of belief.
It's like, for example, like I look at everything as like I only look at the advantages. You know, like I try to cut out the disadvantages that I have. Maybe I don't even have many, but it's like I hyper focus on like, okay, what advantages do I have, and how can I use them? And that actually promotes to good action and good results.
That's on an individual basis, and I would agree with you. For sure, everyone should take what they got and make it better. We're talking about society as a whole, though.
I just think you should take that with a grain of salt, though, right? I think like it's like a lot of people don't take it with a grain of salt. Like I have friends that are like, you know, I'm gonna like figure it out one day. Like, you know, like it is what it is. Like, you know, you're rich. Like you figured it out. Like I can't do that. Like no. You know, like
nobody's saying we should be apathetic about our situation, but we can recognize the material conditions of our society and the institutions that, you know.
Of course.
But govern public life.
The way you beat that is like you focus on what are the advantages that you have and how can I act on those advantages.
Keeping in mind the year that we're in, unless there's something I don't know about, maybe that's true, there's no legal system that says, you know, you are prevented from this opportunity because of your race.
If anything, it's the opposite. We have the Civil Rights Act in 1964.
The fact that I see black people succeeding lets me know I can too, man. I might be at a disadvantage, but I'm gonna grind it out and do my damn thing so I can get there too.
You know what? Like, I think America is such a big country that you cannot just generalize that rule all over the country. Like, there, you know, small cities, small towns with different cities, different states, everything that changes like vastly.
It's a big country, but there's only two classes. You know, there's the 1% and there's the 99%.
I am happy.
Well, and that's conclusion in my opinion. I really don't have anything else to say about that video, but it was a pretty interesting video. I kind of actually learned a lot of things. There's still people that like believe in certain systems in place or holding people of color back or people of that are not of the white ethnicity is holding them back. And I typically fall into the understanding category. Like I understand where they're coming from. I do. But at the same time, nowadays, no, it's not. There's no excuse for your skin color being able to not be able to go do whatever you want to do in life. But I really appreciate everybody for tuning into this video, and I'll see y'all later.